Xbox Series X has many fantastic RPGs titles, and in this video, I will show you 10 of the best RPGs for Xbox Series X and S that you can play in 2022. So without any further ado, let's start this video. The first game of this video is Scarlet Nexus. In many aspects, this game seems like a generic anime, yet it's one of the higher quality ones. Sure, your primary actors, particularly the male protagonist, has forgettable visage, but it's their costume design and movements that make them stand out. This is a high-action RPG with quick combat, enormous effects, and outrageous moves. Next up we have Edge of Eternity. Edge of Eternity is influenced by the renowned JRPG heritage for strategical turn-based combat and character advancement, as well as the newest popularity of Western RPG for enormous open landscapes to explore and non-linear storytelling. In a nutshell, our game is about exploring, developing your characters, battling, and having a memorable journey. Next up we have Tales of Arise. Tales of Arise tells the narrative of an amnesiac slave, a mystery woman who damages everyone she comes into contact with, and the many types of oppression. It's a fantastic action RPG with a colorful cast of characters, each with their own goals and fighting style, banding together to attempt to overcome the increasingly impossible tasks in front of them. It's also rather beautiful. Next up we have The Ascent. The Ascent, a console exclusive, is a twin-stick shooter set in a well-developed cyberpunk environment. Although the gameplay loop might not scream RPG, The Ascent provides significant customization, a good repertory of side missions, and a plethora of riches to gather. The Ascent is a little rough around the edges, but it's a fairly fun experience, especially once you get used to the gunplay. Next up we have Wasteland 3. Wasteland 3 is a tough strategic turn-based RPG reminiscent of previous Fallout title, with a dark sense of humor and a goal to continuously push players with difficult decisions. Wasteland 3's plot and world building are second to none, with a rich and adaptable combat system that should keep the game feeling new throughout its lengthy length. Next up we have Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Don't let Marvel's Avengers leave a nasty taste in your mouth deter you from playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Despite being a great match for the same games as a service, multiplayer looter, and grind fest that wrecked Avengers, this game accomplishes what we all wanted that game would do. It is a pure single-player action RPG. Next up we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The first generation of Assassin's Creed games were devoid of RPG mechanics. You have some linear improvements and perhaps a couple of new moves your assassin could learn at best. They were mostly open-world action games else. Beginning with Assassin's Creed Origins, the series transitioned into a much more RPG-focused franchise. Next up we have Nier Automata. RPGs shine greatest in terms of player choice. Nier Automata emphasizes this point with a plethora of endings that a player can try to attain throughout a playthrough. Each of these endings is noteworthy in its own way, whether for heartbreaking narrative reasons or for funny results. Next up we have Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age. This legendary JRPG series, which goes back to the NES, has remained one of the genre's most popular titles, ranking alongside Final Fantasy. While practically every Final Fantasy game reinvents, or at least retools, itself between volumes, Dragon Quest has instead merely refined what worked into a near-perfect version of what it might be. The last game of this video is the Riftbreaker. The Riftbreaker appears to be overly ambitious, combining RPG, base building, survival, and top-down shooter aspects may have resulted in a fractured experience that shines in some areas while falling short in others. The Riftbreaker, impressively, escapes this destiny to a large extent, and it even manages to be extremely approachable without compromising intricacy. That's it for this video. I hope you like my list of best Xbox Series X and S role-playing games. Comment down your favorite game. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more gaming videos.